Welcome to day 2 of the 12 Days of Coachmas. Over the next 12 days, I'm going to be reacting to and commenting on various pieces of content and concepts within the coaching industry. So if you're just jumping in today, you can click right here to check out the playlist for the entire series. Today's topic's going to be pretty niche. For those of you who know, you know, because you probably clicked on this video based on the name in the title.
Cheers! The motherfucking tea.
Now, if you've watched any of my content, you typically know for the most part, I don't really name names or show faces because for the most part, identities don't really matter. For example, if you watched yesterday's video, you'll see that, especially in the coaching industry, a lot of these people are sort of just copy paste carbon copies of whoever their mentor is. And so the fact that they're doing or saying certain things isn't really a reflection of them as a person so much as just the industry as a whole. So unless they're like a massive coach with a massive following like Brooke Castillo, Marie Forleo, and so on, I typically don't name names until I was scrolling through the Life Coach Snark subreddit and I saw a particular person come up whose name is in the title of this video. And I did think to myself like, I should probably talk about this. So for context, those of you that don't know, Hilary Rushford is a New York-based fashion stylist and blogger. She's also the founder of the Dean Street Society. Over the years, she's sold various courses on styling, confidence, blogging, and eventually business coaching, which is actually how I came to learn who she was. So prior to the announce of her closing her business, which is what we're going to get into today, she was selling various products about how to grow a following on Instagram, how to build a business, evergreen funnels, and that kind of thing. And so a fun story about me in relation to Hilary, this story actually has two parts, is that number one, I remember Hilary Rushford being the very first coach I ever realized was using an evergreen webinar funnel. And so I've talked about evergreen webinar funnels on this channel before, but if you're not familiar, it's essentially this idea that people will sell you or get you to sign up based on the idea that they're hosting a live masterclass or a live webinar, when in reality, the webinar is actually pre-recorded. And oftentimes they'll go so far as to add in like fake comments that they address. And so if you've ever attended a webinar and you've been spamming the chat with your questions and you've wondered why the people aren't answering your questions, this is why, because the webinar isn't actually live. It was pre-recorded and just runs forever, multiple times a day. So I actually learned this because I signed up for her webinar and I was like half an hour late showing up to the class. So I joined in 30 minutes in, watched through the presentation, and then went to her website and signed up to attend the same webinar the next day. I showed up on time, watched through the first 30 minutes of the webinar. And when it got to the point where I had joined the day before, I thought to myself, like, this seems weird. And I remember specifically there was a point in the webinar where she like took a break and she was doing this like silly dance in the background. And so when I joined the second day and we got to that same part in the webinar, she stopped at the exact same time and did the exact same dance. And I was like, wait a minute, I have already seen this. And so it was at this point that I realized it was a webinar recording. And so then this kind of put me into a spiral where I learned that literally like 99% of people who host webinars with platforms like Webinar Jam are doing so as an evergreen presentation and not as a live training as advertised. So if you've ever been on the sign up page for a webinar and you're wondering how this person is capable of running, 10 different sessions every half an hour every day of the week, now you know why. Basically, they record the webinar once and then they just play it on loop for forever or for however long they want to sell that webinar. Anyway, that was like probably 2019 or 2020. And while I didn't buy into whatever offer she was selling at that time, I did stay on her email list. So flash forward to about a year ago, actually, it was December of 2022. Hilary announced to her email list that she was hiring for a freelance social media manager. And so because I had been following her for so long, and this was before I really started creating a lot of this like coaching skeptical content here on YouTube, I actually applied for the job. And I passed through the application round. They offered me an interview and they wanted me to complete this like Instagram assignment where I was going to create some content for them. But basically what happened was I was busy being a internet work from anywhere boss babe, and I was on vacation in Mexico. And they wanted me to interview while I was in Mexico, and I didn't want to do that, so I missed out on the opportunity. Basically, the team wasn't willing to accommodate me to wait another week, so I probably dodged a bullet in retrospect. But anyway, so last week, I'm scrolling through Reddit, I see this post that I already mentioned, and one of you shout out to you if you're watching, linked her Instagram post in my scam reaction submission form. So thank you so much for that. So I decided it was time to go into full investigation mode and make a video about it. So I want to give a quick shout out to my VIP channel members. I love you guys so much. And obviously a big shout out to my lone billionaire tier member as well. Appreciate you all so much for being here. Now let's go ahead and jump right in. Okay, so for starters, I thought we could watch her reel where she announces that she's closing her business, and then we're going to have a discussion about it after the fact.
I have to close my business after 12 and a half years, and I've never seen anyone say that, so I have no idea how to do this, but I am doing it with a pay the value sale of all my signature products, What Makes Women Feel Beautiful, Healing Burnout, Alec Maxon's Journal, a big bundle of my entrepreneur products at the link in my bio. And I just sent a lengthy email with so much more detail that you can read at the bottom of that page. I will be leaving Instagram in this transition, but I value our relationship so deeply, and more soon.
Okay, so in my opinion, this video is like a bit weird. It seems like it was almost an afterthought or really rushed to be put together. And it doesn't really include a lot of detail other than like, I'm closing my business and you can pay what you want for my products that are left. And I don't want this to come off as insensitive, but it almost comes across to me, and you can share your thoughts in the comments, to be like sad fishing vibes. Like the fact that she's showing up on camera, speaking really quickly and crying seems kind of performative. Now, that being said, I'm not heartless, and I do understand that as someone who has closed a business and who has been self-employed for many, many years now, I understand that when you put so much time and so much effort into building something, having to close that business down would be incredibly sad, and I would probably cry if I was in her shoes. So I'm not saying that she's lying about it or that the fact that she's crying on camera is just for show, even though I just said it was performative. I think it's the delivery of how she decided to post that as a video to Instagram that seems really odd to me. Like, I can't quite explain the feeling, but it just seems like it wasn't really well thought through. And the fact that the video itself is so vague just leaves me with a weird feeling. Now, because this is a critique of this whole scenario, I also want to add her initial comment where she said, like,
I'm closing my business and I've never seen anyone announce that they're closing their business.
Seems really arrogant and out of touch to me. And it seems as though this commenter here had the same thoughts. She wrote, could you explain what you mean by never seeing anyone say they had to close their business? Business owners and a few influencers I've seen often announce the close of their business, so I must be misunderstanding something. I hope you're able to find something you love to move on to. Excellent point. We just went through a pandemic where hundreds, if not thousands of people had to close their business. So again, to act like you're the only person who's ever had to do this seems so out of touch and just very, very odd behavior to me. Now, to Hilary's credit, I will say she did reply, thanks for asking. I've seen people close brick and mortar businesses or physical product businesses, but I've never personally seen an influencer, not what I am as a business, but similar, or course creator say they are closing. If you have, I would love if you could share their Instagram so I could see how they went about it and read their story they shared with their audience about why. Again, this is probably just me being nitpicky, but it seems really weird to act like you're the only person or only influencer who's ever had to close their business or stop creating courses. Like, am I being unreasonable or is this weird? Let me know in the comments. Alas, I will give her credit because she did pin a few comments that were asking the same questions over and over again. So for example, this next one's about why did you close your business? So this person says, I'm sorry to hear this and I'm sorry for you. You were probably one of the first influencers I was influenced by and I bought one of your programs early on. I read your email and I'm still very confused. If you're struggling financially, why would you close down your only source of income? I'm rooting for you. And again, to her credit, Hilary did reply to this comment and she said, that is such a good question. Thank you for asking. It's such a confusing story. It's hard to know what people might want to know or what they don't know. I will answer that in an email, but in short, it's so expensive to run the business. This is a great reminder that I don't think people have any idea how expensive all of the software systems employees are to run online programs and launches at the level of quality that I have been. And so it seems as though she's closing her business because she says it's too expensive to run. And as always, this is just speculative, anecdotal, in my opinion, from what I read on the internet, blah, blah, blah. But I think in general, too many businesses spend too much money on things that they maybe don't necessarily need to. And typically they do this because of the pressure to show up or create the illusion that your business looks or is a certain way. There's pressure to, buy certain softwares or sign up for certain email marketing platforms or have a specific website, so on and so on and so on, until the monthly costs to run your business are so much higher than the amount of money that you're bringing in. And I would imagine in a business that's at the size, allegedly, of Hilary's business at its peak, those costs would be even bigger. And obviously, when you are a business that has scaled, you do have to make some of those investments just for your time alone. It's not worth it to do certain processes manually. I'm just saying that there's always, in my opinion and from my experience, a way to do things at a lower cost than what you're typically being told or sold by other people on the internet. And so to close down a business purely because the cost to run it is too high, especially when it's a digital business where you're selling digital products that you've already created, it seems suspicious in my opinion. Not to mention, as a complete aside, on the website where she announces that she's closing her business, you can show up, you can pay whatever you want for any of her offers. She also has this thing at the bottom of the page where you can donate to her baby that she's expecting. So like send her a thank you gift and a gift for the baby. That in itself just seems, again, really odd to me. I can't imagine asking clients of my business to support me in my pregnancy, but I'm not pregnant, so what do I know? Okay, so then beyond this, I was having a discussion with one of you in my DMs last week. If you're watching this video, you know who you are. And basically, the person I was talking to was commending Hilary for her transparency in sharing that she's closing her business and why she's closing her business, which, to be fair, I do kind of agree with. If we take what she's saying at face value, basically what we're assuming has happened is she projected she was going to make a certain amount of money in her business. The business did not do as well as she thought it would. Thus, she has to close her doors, her digital doors, and stop selling her course. However, as I've already alluded to, something about this whole announcement seems really vague and disingenuous, and I can't quite put my finger on it. Now, I could go based on the hearsay of Reddit and read what strangers on the internet have said as fact. There's accusations of Hilary burning bridges with her peers and past friendships that she's had. There's stories about her landing not one but two book deals and losing both of them because she's very difficult to work with. And there's also allegations that she's been struggling financially for many years. This isn't a gossip channel. I'm not stating any of this as fact. Again, the Reddit thread will be linked down below. You can choose to read that information and take from it what you will. But I tend to think of the internet like a piece of paper floating in the wind that anyone could have written anything and stated it as fact. So until I see hard evidence, I don't believe it as truth. What I am saying is that this whole scenario seems very sudden and very odd. I understand influencers or coaches of this scale are real people and they deserve privacy as well. However, when you have built a business on teaching other people how to build a successful business, there is a level of accountability and transparency that I think your clients, past clients, present clients all deserve, especially when that business ends up failing.
I'm all out of money!
All that to say, she is closing her business and she's selling off all her content at a pay whatever value you want price tag. And so naturally, for this video, being the home investigator that I am, I decided to buy her entrepreneur bundle for $1 USD. And apparently it's valued at over $6,000, so this should be good. So here's what it says on the sales page. Hey Hilary, if you're closing your business, should I be taking your business advice? A very reasonable question. The news is so fresh and there's so much to do in closing and with moving that I won't be able to fully explain to you why this happened right now. I do promise to find a way to share a longer story in 2024. As I know, as an entrepreneur, I would deeply want to understand, and I have such love and respect for this community that I don't want to leave anyone feeling scared or confused. What I'll say briefly for now, though, is I got very unlucky. What is different than being unwise or untalented, this is another deeper topic for 2024. But unlucky can be used as a cop-out to not take responsibility. It can also be a sign of maturity that you aren't beating yourself up for the things you can't control and have a healthy self-awareness that success doesn't require perfection, but even perfection can't control everything. The timing wasn't right for me with where my business was at, and the due date of my baby is in the middle of a move. But I have so many friends thriving in business. While I've always been honest that business is hard and will continue to be honest about my behind the scenes in 2024, once I've had some space to process. I've also helped tens of thousands of entrepreneurs create income for themselves and their family. As we talk about all the time on the You're Welcome podcast, both things can be true at once, and growth is accepting that duality. If closing my business makes you wonder if you should close yours, I get that. Do you seriously think people are following you that closely that just because you're closing their business, all of a sudden they're going to decide to close theirs? Like, that doesn't even make sense. These people are so out of touch. And again, I'll do my best in 2024 to find a way to share and help you process that. But if you're getting excited about your business dreams in 2024, then this is my parting gift to you. Check out the free class from Social Stories below as one example. Learning to teach on camera, on stage, think on your feet while live, multitask your notes, plus live Q&A. This is my superpower. And if that's an area you want to increase your confidence and ability in, set the price. There's no way that teaching alone isn't worth a minimum of $100 from a professional actor and 5-figure speaker who's the daughter of an iconic public speaker and storyteller. In my opinion, this is one of my most slept on products, and I've never personally seen someone teach on. Again, thinking that she's revolutionary, no one knows the things she knows, no one's teaching the things she knows. It just goes to show me how out of touch some of these coaches truly are. You can also get 3 years of private masterclasses from my application only Elegant Excellence Mastermind. The foundation documents alone that kick off that teaching are worth $200. If you've been here a long time, you know this. If you're new, all of the prices that this coach here in this example and any coach ever says, you know, my product's worth $1,000, this program's worth $300, this PDF is worth $97. They are making up those prices. There is no marker. There's nothing to really attribute that value to other than their own ego deciding that that's what it's worth. So I just wanted to set that straight. As a parting encouragement, you have those superpowers too. Whether you are looking to start a new business, launch a new product, do not miss out on the Creative Business Accelerator that helps you do so in just 3 to 30 days with a step-by-step map. Or feel like 2024 is the year you go from good to great. I believe you have wisdom, talent, and experiences that someone needs. I am still rooting for you always and can be in your corner throughout 2024 without teaching. So I went through all of the offers, which I'll pop up here on the screen, and the total is essentially worth over $6,000, close to $6,500. It says here, receive instant access to 5 of our signature programs for a total value of $6,491. So again, I went ahead and bought this offer for $1 US. Now, I do want to say that in light of all of this, I do commend her for recognizing the irony of like, why would I pay you to teach me how to be an entrepreneur when you're closing your business because it's not successful? And I will also add that combing through those comments on Reddit, there were people in that forum saying that they signed up for certain offers of hers and they found value in the things that she sold. So I'm not saying that she's a fraud or that she's selling complete nonsense like I often say with a lot of the people that I feature on this channel. I will say, however, I'm not going to show you the contents of the course just because I don't really think from an ethics perspective that's appropriate. If you want to buy it for $1, you can go ahead and look for yourself. But I will say that generally speaking, I found a lot of the content to be sort of disjointed and confusing. And maybe this is because I sell my own online course, and in that course, I walk people through a process step by step. Like step 1, do this. Step 2, do that, because that's how I learn. So that's how I teach. And basically each step that you take builds on the last step that you took. Now, her course is not formatted like this. So for example, in her Creative Business Accelerator, which is supposed to be the program that teaches you like how to grow your business, there's a 13-minute module titled The Simplest Business Model. And in that module, Hilary does really explain, you know, what an ideal client is and why it's important to know who it is you're speaking to in your marketing. Nowhere in that video does she explain what the simplest business model is or what a business model even is at all. And again, this might just come back to me being more of a like, here's step number 1, 2, 3, 4 versus a envision your business and you'll be successful type of person. Like that kind of content doesn't really resonate with me. And so while she says that the content in this course is valued at whatever, $597, I personally found most of it to be surface level at best. Like we see with many of these courses, it's information you could easily access on Google. And so the cost of her putting it all together so that you could find it in one place, in my opinion, should not be worth more than $97. Because again, I do believe in charging money for taking the time to format things nicely and put them into one space so that people don't have to spend time watching 700 YouTube videos. But because most of the information in this course could be found somewhere else on the internet for free, I think that needs to be taken into consideration. But the coaching industry wants us to believe that that's worth thousands of dollars. So I digress. I did a whole video on online courses if you're new to the conversation. But again, all of this is just my opinion. So if you are interested in being nosy, the course is available until December 15th. And again, you can just buy it for $1. But I really just think my cynicism towards the coaching industry as a whole prevents me from being able to see any kind of significant value in this content, especially when she's saying that the contents are worth over $6,000.
What? Oh. Okay.
So all of this to say, do I think Hilary Rushford is a swindler? Maybe. I don't know. Do I think 6 months down the road, maybe after she has her baby, she's going to resurface all of a sudden as this newly branded business marketing expert? Maybe. I don't know. Was this video even worth your time? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not really sure that I added much to the conversation, but I think this is really just an important example of what it looks like when these coaches realize they can't keep selling people on the dream. So curious what this leads to in the industry as a whole as we move into the new year. I feel like there's a lot more to be said here, but I'm really trying to keep these Coachmas videos a little bit shorter. So if there's more that you want me to talk about, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you tomorrow for Coachmas Day 3. Take care, comb your hair, and in case you miss Coachmas Day 1, I will leave it for you right here on the screen. Okay? Okay. Bye!